Thank you for joining XROM, which is India's first AR/VR focused podcast. And today I'm delighted and honored to have with me Mr. Rrahul Sethi, who's a Metaverse influencer, speaker, the Chief Metaverse Officer at Smiling Workplace, and co-founder at Expoodle. So Rahul, really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. For the listeners who don't really know what a metaverse is, because there are so many varied explanation on what a metaverse is or what it could do, what would be your explanation of the metaverse?
Uh, I think metaverse is certainly hyped as a word. You know, it's not a myth. It's not futuristic. It's pretty much present. So one of the things one has to first understand is metaverse. It's all about parallel world. Now we talked about parallel world, parallel universe. Blah blah blah. Um, the in simple layman terms, metaverse is just an experience loaded on a platform, which could be an individual private space where people come and collaborate and build experiences together. So so simple. Right now we're talking on a Zoom and we are recording ourselves, and we are having right now a video 2D format in front of us. Same thing, I could have done it with you in an experience where we have a nice conference room. We log in as avatars. Just above our head, our cameras show our face, and the avatars are lookalikes. And if you want to buy something, if you want to go experience something, want to go watch a video, or maybe look at a presentation, we could do it in a 3D format. So in totality, I think we've always looked at a 3D walkthroughs in our previous experiences, and now metaverse platforms are offering us to have a free will navigation with an avatar. So in going forward in the next few years, you will find mega malls. Already, some people are making penthouses and giving them out for lease. You know, a lot of people buying digital, spaces on places like Decentraland and so on and so forth. So, so in terms of, I think, in terms of how we have transitioned from a 2D, 3D walkthrough world, now we are looking at more, we're pivoting towards more collaborative 3D environment, and that over a period of time will constitute and become a metaverse.
Right. Yes, I think so far we've been restricted to all our interfaces have been 2D, and now we will transition from a 2D world to a 3D world where we will start interacting in our digital world exactly how we interact in our physical worlds. And obviously that's still, I mean, some ways off it. Yes, we have these 3D worlds, but none of them are interoperable, none of them are decentralized. So yes, I think we just laying the building blocks of what a metaverse is going to be. And you rightfully pointed out, I mean, I think in that world, I think physics, which I think everybody kind of talks about, will might not play such a huge role, or the whole funda of physics will change, because you will not be restricted. As a designer, you will be able to completely reimagine, redesign the virtual world, and the possibilities are going to be endless. Now you are the Chief Metaverse Officer at Smiling Workplace. So there's this trend of metaverse chief metaverse officer, because I've been seeing this and so many of these companies, from Nike to, there's many others who have these chief metaverse officer. So what's your role as a chief metaverse officer at Smiling Workforce? And also talk about the problem that the solving. You said that you solving the problem of recruiting and hiring through the metaverse. So maybe talk about that also, and how is that benefiting?
First of all, one has to have a lot of courage to call himself a metaverse officer. You know, I really spent a lot of time thinking about why is it that I should be a chief metaverse officer in a company that I'm founding, and I realized that metaverse has got two components in it. One is the component of experience creation, wherein you either create a digital twin of the place that you're going to have people experience or walk into that zone. And on the other side, you got to be very sure and very updated about what's going on in the 3.0 space. So a metaverse officer is not somebody who is supposed to go and start doing programming or start looking at the start looking at what kind of experiences one will build. I think a metaverse officer has a key role of partnerships. This ecosystem is developing. This ecosystem is still people are not connected pretty much at any pretty much at the way in the way for the other technologies are. So the role is to look to talk to people around the world who are into 3.0 products or services, understand the opportunities, understand the integrations in the ecosystem, both with regards to just technology as well as also about creating solutions together for clients, and be a part of the ecosystem. So that's my role. My role, essentially, like I said, is to making sure that I'm aware of the most and I'm most updated in terms of what's going on in this space. So that's what organizations want. So organizations do not want a chief metaverse officer going and doing operations or doing project management. He's supposed to go bring more people into the ecosystem of the company and building that partnership things for the company. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. I also do a lot of sessions. I learn a lot from people. Like I was telling you, I was in a master class just now before our call, and I'm also being selected as the 20 founders in India for one of the most respected accelerator program in 3.0 being done by VCs and angel investors called GSK. So that's what I've been selected recently, wherein I will be learning more from people who have really spent money on companies, including companies who are early adopters of 3.0. So yeah, so that's pretty much the role is, and I think for every organization that is very important to have. Number two, about smiling workplace, you said, is smiling workplace. The concept is very simple. There is a problem statement that we are here to solve. 40% to 50% is the joining rate on offer. So for example, if the company is offering 100 people a month, there is possibly going to be 50 people who will join plus minus 10%. That's the average criteria for larger volume hiring. For executive hiring, this number is not applicable because those are very limited in numbers too. What happens here is that there are a couple of things. One is that the candidate is very disconnected from the organization from the time he gets offered, because he never gets a phone call. If he gets a phone call from two recruiters or somebody in HR, it's going to be different communication. And these different type of communication, different sort of communication leads to a lot of miscommunication for the candidate. Number two, the candidate is not aware of what's going on in the company for those 3 months when he's on a notice period, and suddenly he listens to something on the internet and he makes up a mind whether to or not to join the company. So those are the things which are very problematic for specifically IT companies or the large volume hiring companies such as staffing companies. So what we're trying to solve here is that for those 3 months, meaning between 30 and 90 days, from the time you offer your candidate, we run events for them on the metaverse. So we are making a digital twin, like an office environment for clients. We are bringing those candidates in the office type environment, which is very close to the true to life experience of the office of the client, and having that person come and learn about the organization. So every week or 10 days, our people pick up the phone, they write an email to the candidate saying, hey, we're doing so and so event, we want you to know what our company is doing right now, what are the new projects which have come in, and come and visit us. And then if they have questions, we have a host. So host answers the questions, and thereby making it good, because when you do these events a couple of times, you always have a brand recall about your company amongst the candidates, And this is how, when they are engaged, even if I'm able to, fill up the dent maybe to up to 10 or 15%, that's a big number from a resourcing point of view. Because the more hiring for an IT company equals to the increase in the bottom line, not only the top line. So they have projects in making, but they don't get people on time, and hence they lose on the billing by having this, interference of this metaverse experience and 3D and all of that. The experience, of course, goes up. The candidate feels that he's connected, or the company is connected with him. He can ask questions. There is one standard host, and he can go around and see about the company and look at the videos and experience the true digital twin of the company. This is the first time that anyone is trying this out. We're getting some very good responses, and I think as I move forward, I definitely see that this is going to be a good game changer for the recruitment and talent acquisition teams. Yeah.
Talk to me about the plus point about this compared to what already exists. Why do we need the metaverse for this? Why? What are the value that a metaverse adds on this rather than doing it on normal, possibly per se like a Zoom environment?
Sure. So great. So let me start from your last line of why we can just do it on a Zoom, right? I mean, this is absolutely fine. Um, but look at the logistics here. We've got 100 people on a month being hired by a client. There are possibly going to be 3 or 4 hiring managers involved, and the 100 people are all segregated all over India. I want them to come on a Zoom call. All 100 will come. Who will mute? Who will not mute? Who will ask a question? And we may never want them to ask questions in public, because candidates can ask some weird questions sometime, and those weird questions you never want them to be on a public forum. So so having 100 people on a Zoom call and asking or telling them about the company, it's logistically very difficult. What companies do is that they assign a couple of candidates to each recruiter or hiring manager and tell them to pick up the phone and keep talking to the candidate. But human psychology is very moody. We're very we have a mood swing, right? So we come in the morning and we've got this boss sitting on my head and saying, hey, I want 5 resumes today for a certain skill set, and now I have to also make 25 calls and check with people how they are, and most likely not everybody is going to pick up my phone. So hence it becomes a great tally calling back and forth system. All of these things are not working out. If they were working out, definitely we would have not had a problem of people saying, hey, I called the recruiter 5 times. I asked him a question about my text breakup and he never picks up my phone. What the candidate doesn't understand is that the recruiter is busy. Recruiter is recruiting, right? And hence he is not able to give time, or for other reasons too. Humanly there could be 100 reasons around that. So if we make that process independent, we have to make that process independent in an environment. Choosing a 3D environment, which is a digital twin of the company, is going to have a connection with the brand, number one. If I'm walking into an organization where I'm going to join and start working, I want to know and I want to see how the office looks. I want to understand where my desk is going to look like. I want to know, okay, who is the CEO? What is the news right now? Because I may not just go on Google and just start typing the news about the company, whereas the company can have multiple activities going on in the press. So what you do is you consolidate all of that collateral into one 3D environment, immersive experience. And this immersive experience can be given to him on a mobile phone, web, as well as a VR headset. As you will also understand that there is quite a myth that metaverses can be accessed only on a VR headset, which is not correct, but there is a myth. So a 3D experience on a web or a mobile is extremely rich, immersive in nature, and hence having a person to come in his own will, because it's 24/7, it's open, it's like a website. The candidate can log into it. The candidate will always have someone standing by. If the event is placed at a certain time, there is going to be a proper conversation with that particular candidate. If he has got some questions, those questions will be answered. And since the content repository is all loaded online in one 3D immersive environment, it's very easy for a candidate to roam around, go left, see certain things, find, moves on to the right side, looks at other opportunities in what's going on in the company. So this is how differences are made.
Right, right. So tell me a little bit more about the Smiling Workplace platform. Is the platform ready? Is it in POC stage? And how many concurrent users can be on the platform? The candidates plus the recruiters. You said there's events. How many number of users can be present at a time?
So presently, we are working on the POCs with clients, and these are companies who are doing approximately 50 to 250 hirings a month, and open for very limited number of people right now. Take is that at any given time, we think that a total number of candidates not more than 30, should be on the platform, since the real estate for more than 30, 50, or 100 people could be a huge effort. So approximately about a 30 candidates at any given time, 4 events in a quarter, goes to up to 6 events in a quarter, and each event is repeated at least 2 or 3 times, since not everybody can join at a certain, at a time that we choose. So we give leeway to the candidate to have him come anytime between the three we offer to him. And when he walks in, he's, like I said, there's a host. There are some one-to-one conversations, people will have. And if they have more questions, they can always, sort of interact more and go offline, or later than that, pick up the phone and still talk to the hiring manager. This kind of a service is very new in India, in fact, all over the world, because this is where we are. So this service is all about, client conversion, isn't it? I mean, in sales, we look at client conversion. We say always stay in touch with your client, even if you don't have much to say. So I've still gotten some of my clients for 15 years, whom I still send them a Christmas or a Diwali or a New Year, message, even though I know they don't give business to me now. But we always stay in touch with clients, and hence the same way those candidates also, we're just staying in touch with them for those 45 and 90 days. They know that we will handhold them and then give them an immersive experience that will be outstanding in nature.
Right. Are you bootstrapped? What's the team strength? And if you're seeking for funding, what's the amount that you're looking at raising? And what would be your advice to the other Indian startups? Because there's quite a lot of metaverse startups here in the country, and most of them have got POCs. Because obviously, I mean, you're not built a product yet because of various complications. Because the tech is still not ready. The problems of having concurrent users online, so on and so forth. So there are so many challenges in itself. As an entrepreneur, what would be your advice? So are you bootstrapped? Are you funded? Your advice to other XR startups here in the country?
So completely bootstrapped, and always think that there is no shortcut to success, in the sense, in this space in immersive technology. You got to do something before you can stand in front of the client, and that strength has to be there. It is not a business of creating a presentation and going to a customer and showing a presentation. I do my presentations in the metaverse. I don't even call them on a Zoom meeting. You know, I have them experience my presentation and how I onboard them in the metaverse. That's number one. Number two, couple of POCs. Once we do large scale POCs, a couple of them, of course, then we are investment ready. Since we need to be sure that this, not only that we think we want or a couple of clients want, we need to also know the industry sentiments and reach out to a couple of other senior mentors in the industry to check that, hey, this particular service does make sense. Um, Investments do come on services which are very scalable. I definitely see that an engagement like candidates or employee engagements going forward and doing events on the metaverse is the way forward, because any metaverse is not a metaverse unless we don't do much activities in it. And so hence I definitely see doing more activities, doing more things on the metaverse is the key to success. um, what is my advice to entrepreneurs who are starting in this domain? You must have patience, number one. You can't be impatient that things will be done within a day or two. No. And the fundamentals, in fact, I rather would first advise entrepreneurs is to first educate themselves before even they think that they want to get into metaverses and 3.0, they got to be the real users of it. So um, so so today also I'm learning. Today also I'm going and doing different types of courses. I'm going to accelerators. I'm pitching myself for speaker talks and sessions where I kind of interact with other senior industry leaders, go to conferences, learn more from people around, and that I think there is absolutely no shortcut to that, you know. And of course, the business case to the regular industry is not that simple, because you got to be having a lot of credibility and the past if you really think that you want some organization to sort of buy your product and service in one go. So please have a couple of guys from the industry side onto your board, so that they continuously guide and create connects for you, and you're able to better sell or at least network with the peers.
Right, completely. I completely double that. As an entrepreneur, there are a lot of people out there who feel that the Web3 or Metaverse is an easy space because there's so much hype around it, and that you gonna jump in and you'll become a millionaire. It's the opposite, because I think that the kind of work that you need to put in, to put up a Metaverse startup is insane. First of all, I think one needs to educate themselves and be completely educating oneself almost every single day. You have to be a lifelong learner, because I think this space is evolving at the speed of light, and if you don't catch up, there'll be somebody else who will be leveraging the opportunity. Because yes, there is so much opportunity, because I think the entire Web 2.0 which spawned businesses such as Facebook's, your Google's, to Airbnb, and so many other unicorns. They're all gonna transition to Web 3.0, and my view is the metaverse and Web 3 are gonna be is gonna be sitting together. The underlying infrastructure, as in the economical layer, will be cryptocurrencies and NFTs, and what's going to drive it is possibly the digital avatar is going to be artificial intelligence with 5G, and everything is going to get sensorized, and that's going to be a true metaverse, which is going to be possibly interoperable and open and decentralized. I mean, this was a little mouthful, but I guess that's what I think. When it all gets binded, it won't be one single technology. It'll be a culmination of all of these different tech pieces together, giving it, and then maybe we won't be calling it a technology. I think the same thing what has happened with our mobile phones. I mean, it's a computer in a pocket, and we do not call it a piece of technology because it's got ubiquitous. We use it on a daily basis, and I think the same thing needs to happen with the metaverse, where we get into a world where we don't give it names, but we use it in a way where it becomes a daily part of life, and we do not talk about the tech over it, but of the use cases, real world values. Now, talking about the real world values of the metaverse Web 3.0, there are a lot of these brands, or even consumers who would want to know about it and how they could leverage it. So, could you break it up into, what would be the opportunity for enterprise as well as consumers, when it comes to the metaverse?
Sure. We start from enterprise, and how enterprises will leverage the 3.0. So in many ways, enterprises who are working with clients like banks or governmental institutions, they're all going to be now building their own 3.0 practice. Number one, where 3.0 practice doesn't mean one single person. It's going to be amalgamation of multiple different kinds of skills. Also looking at reskilling some of their existing staff to understand what 3.0 really means for their clients, and hence it is going to be a lot of unlearning for enterprises on the way they create the strategy, or they create their own business strategies or strategies for their clients, or a tech roadmap for them. So, I think here in enterprises, the use cases will definitely be as per the kind of client's pedigree they have got. And each of that use case is going to be in itself, it's going to be a huge exercise, since the client awareness also is very limited in this space. So starting from reskilling, hiring the right team, to then building the right products case, use case, and transitioning strategy for their customer from 2.0 or the existing enterprise systems to 3.0, either in the NFT space or further than NFTs, etc., the business applications and all that. So that's one part that I think enterprises are going to push at. Um, and definitely, I see, if anything, I see a lot of enterprises, juggling around and scratching their head every day, as to what is the starting point. Some of these use cases definitely will go wrong. We have to save ourselves from the negative news about cryptos and blockchains and all of that. We got to really safeguard ourselves from negativity, and look at the positive, side of things first. Since failures are evident when it's a new technology and it's a new world. So let's be prepared for that. For brands, primarily the consumer brands, electronics and so on and so forth, this is a mega opportunity. There is absolutely one thing established, that metaverses and NFTs, etc., are very technical weapons as far as the marketing and brand promotion is concerned. These are the two sides of the coin, the two sides of the puzzle, not the coin. The two sides of the puzzle is, one side of that is experience creation, which is on metaverses and all the 3D environments. And on the other side is the commerce, which is NFTs, and further to that, transactions on blockchains, etc. Brands have an immense opportunity to digitize their collectibles, and when they digitize their collectibles, what they're essentially doing is that they're reaching out to the mass audience, which they have not reached out in the past because of the physical, challenges of physical logistical challenges. Most recently, every one of us has seen the Nike shoe trending on NFT for millions of dollars, and it is true, because that digital asset is nothing but a collectible. So brands, rather than just seeking to create an NFT, will further have an opportunity to even integrate them into several metaverses, so that the avatars can also wear the similar NFTs when they go visit a certain concert or an event on the metaverses, which are independent of what I am building or what you and me know. A couple of them, there are going to be more than a couple of them in action now and in the near future. And this is something that they will have to look at if they want to increase their bottom line. More than bottom line, or top line, I think it's a huge brand creation exercise. And the transitioning time for brands, Eddie, one of the very unique things, the way I look at the enterprise transition to from X to a 3.0. And on the other hand, when I look at the brands brands transitioning to 3.0, in my view, it's so easy for brands to do 3.0. You see, for enterprises, they have to create the back end, they have to do 100 things, change management and all of that. But brands are anyways doing a lot of marketing stuff. So recently, one of the other things which I like to share with you and the other audience is that in this art festival that was conducted, I think in Delhi, the Indian Art Festival or something. Most recently, you can check it out on the internet. It's very popular nowadays. Asian Paints tied up with Wazir X and got some of their top NFTs, placed in the physical store. And this was also one of the conversations we're having. And kudos to the chief marketing officer or the marketing team to kind of set it up, because I think what they've done with the NFTs in that particular show on their space over there is they created the buzz. So I think the whole marketing team right now would be on a cloud nine, because generally otherwise, if you go into an Asian Paint store in a fashion or a art festival, whatever, I mean, it's fine. At end of the day, Asian Paints is a paint company, right? It is not a trendy Gen Z kind of a stuff. It's a product, and you use it once or twice a year. Correct. I don't go buy a paint every year. I buy a paint every 1, 2, maybe 3 years. So what they've done is just by having one NFT corner, where they have the top ones, there was a queue of people because they want to now understand what's queue. And hence Asian Paints got all the visibility in the press and everywhere else. So I think it's a great strategy for, I think, brands to venture into these kind of things and then further collaborate, with the audiences, offline as well. And it is a great tool for retail activations across smaller, zones that companies create in small cities. They create small zones. I think that's where this whole, thing can be fully integrated and, makes a lot of difference. Yeah.
The entire Web 2.0 is transitioning into Web 3.0, and all the brands in the enterprise who sit tightly, snugly on the Web 2.0 are suddenly going to be like possibly maybe moved on to or nudged or pushed onto Web 3.0. So if the brands in the enterprise don't take the onus right now and the opportunity to kind of leverage the, possibly like interact with startups, interact with these developers, entrepreneurs who are building Web 3.0, NFTs and Metaverse, to kind of explore the opportunity of engaging with them and creating an opportunity where it works for the brand as well as the developer and the content creator. Because I guess there is opportunity where I feel and I hope that the brands and enterprise collaborate with the startup community here in India, abroad, the developers, and create an ecosystem which is enabling and empowering, because there's so much opportunity. If we I feel from my end that the government is creating a very not an empowering ecosystem when it comes to Web3. And that's the reason I see that the crypto startups like WazirX and Polygon moving base to Dubai, and I hope that's not encouraged, because otherwise there'll be more startups, more Metaverse Web3 developers, startups will be moving to greener pastures, which are creating and enabling and empowering ecosystem. So Rahul, really was a enjoyable conversation. I really enjoyed the conversation. Wish you the very best for Smiling Workplace plus Expoodle. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye bye. Thank you, Rahul.